Um, where during the journey, so because to be back on the timeline, get back out of the multiverse, get back into the universe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
With
yeah.
the time in the singular timeline, when you okay, so gospel keyboard goes into Jermaine Griggs and explodes, and you do the urban neo soul keys and all of those different things on the timeline. When does it shift, or when do you get to, how do you transition? What is that transition looking like where you move from tutorials to, okay, now I'm creating software, became a software developer, and you transition into that next phase of Meticulous? Which came first, Meticulous, or was it MKSensation, or did all of those ideas flood into time and you just kind of like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So I remember the day it happened. I was at Without Walls with Paula White,
Okay.
and I was visiting. I was interviewing for a job there with Keith Dobbins to be the main keyboard player.
Huh.
They had a visiting keyboard player, and he was playing something. He was out of Baltimore. Yep,
Okay.
he was out of Justin Savage.
Oh yeah, yeah. Savage, yeah.
Justin Savage out of Baltimore, and I know keyboard sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So he was playing a sound. I said, "That's the sound I was looking for."
Mm-hmm.
So after everything was over, I walked up to him and I said, "What's that piano you playing?" He's like, "Oh, I just got a motif." I looked at him like this. I said, "Bro, I know every single sound of every single keyboard. I know the timbre of every single keyboard. I know the personality. I can hear those loud effects from a Triton. I know keyboards."
Wow.
He said, "Okay." And he lifted this thing up, and it was the MK Sensation. It was the MKS-20.
Yeah.
He said, "It's a secret weapon." And he was layering it with the EP out of the motif. I said, "Man, that thing cuts so well." And so
Wow.
that's what, and I went immediately back and I did the MK Sensation for EXS, Contact, and Reason.
Really?
Yes.
Now this
I
is,
have
what year
a
is
version.
this?
Oh, it's not on the website now, but I
No,
have
no.
a
What year is
version
this though? What
of
year was
just
you doing that?
MK Sensation for EXS, Contact, and Reason.
Now, what year was that though? That you created that?
Boom, boom, boom. Ah, man. I
Best
don't
guess.
even know. Maybe two. I don't know. I don't know. The 2008, maybe. Yeah, and I had that version, and that version went well. And I said, "Wait a minute. I just learned sampling. I can sample anything now."
Yeah.
And so then I moved up to that, and then with the instructional videos,
Okay.
I was like, "Man, there's really nothing that shows keys like dedicated to keys."
Mm.
And then I came out with MIDI keys with a Z, and it
Okay.
migrated to Meticulous. But remember, all this came from the schooling because I'm an electrical engineer and we had to do programming. And so that was natural for me. Remember,
Wow.
electrical engineering, sound synthesis, sound waves, filters,
Mm-hmm.
LFOs, those are all mathematical terms.
Wow.
So I learned all that in college. So you think God is sending you somewhere and he's already prepping you for that. You think he's sending you for this job here. He's pre-prepping you 20 years down the line. So you can't ask God what you're doing here and he's saying, "I'm 20 years ahead of you." You're
Bro,
going
that's
to
so
eventually.
good.
And so the whole time I'm in engineering and I'm on, Harmony Central and stuff, and I'm looking at this stuff. So he was already prepping me. So now I'm working on physical modeling. I'm working on AI stuff. This is easy to me because that stuff I learned in engineering school. I know the math
Wow.
behind it. When I make
Wow.
presets, I'm coming from an engineering preset mindset on I call it sweet spots or color spots.
Yeah.
It's really a mathematical equation. I have a mathematical equation on fatness, bro. I know what sounds fat from a math perspective on EQing.
That's crazy.
Like I have algorithms for that. I can make a plugin called the VST called Super Fat, and it'll make everything sound fat because I know the distortion levels and what it looks like, and that's all from math. Engineering was easy compared to that stuff. So God was already prepping me to get into this, which makes it easier.
So that's, man. golly,
Yeah.
bro. That's just it's just so yikes. So what I see is when I because I look at it, I was telling my dude Jan, we was talking about this a few days ago, how similar to exactly what you were saying, like when you it's the 30, 60, 100-fold kind of principle. When you
Mm,
start moving towards that thing,
yeah.
you get to you go I know this is probably not directly line stacked on scripture like this. I'm using this as a principle. You
Yeah.
see the 30 first. The 30 pulls you. When you get to the 30, you start seeing 60. And
Yep.
God starts like stacking on how you could get to 60. And when you get to 60, you start seeing 100 because
Yep.
what it took you to get to 30, you can multiply that and get to 60. And what it took you to get to 60, you can then in turn multiply that to come into 100. Going back to the 6-figure skills that I learned just serving in ministry at a 25 member church. I
Yeah.
learned how to use Final Cut. I learned how to use I learned about cameras because I had to film sermons and film conferences. The pastor wanted to, put, the sermon up online. So I had to figure out like how do I stream video online? I had to go and research those things. I had to go in. So you were doing Harmony Central. That's YouTube before it was YouTube. Before
Yeah.
there was YouTube. You was on there. I was all on YouTube looking up all this stuff on Final Cut and watching all these tutorials and trying to figure out all these editing things and how to do that. Not knowing, at that point, I'm pretty sure as you were digging into your MBA, you didn't understand it. You just like, all right, it's just a thing to do. God's pulling you, but you don't know that. You don't know. You didn't see MK Sensation. You know MK Sensation then, Neo Soul Keys then, Pure
I didn't
Scent.
think I would ever go to a NAM show. I didn't think I would ever go to a NAM show.
Yeah. So you didn't know those things. And so I didn't know I was going to start a website called Gospel Producers where I was going to be streaming video that I recorded other producers and I edited it all in Final Cut. Like that
Mm,
was 10 years ago where I was just trying to help out my church.
yep.
Trying to help out my pastor and make sure we can do, even though we was a small church, we could still do ministry at excellence or do it like the big boys, what we were seeing on TBN and the Word Network. We can do that. I'm gonna go figure it out. And so I learned about ISOs and white balance and all of those different camera, types of cameras, types of lenses, aperture and all of those things and how to bokeh and how to do all of these things. I learned those things, those skills then, and so as I started progressing through my career and throughout my businesses, it's like each thing starts stacking and preparing you for the next thing that you're moving into. You're like, I didn't know, that those things that I was learning back then were going to come into play now. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So
Yep.
this is dope stuff. So, all right. So you start developing those things, and start moving into those. When do you figure out that I got something here, and where it shifts into like,
The
yeah,
contact one.
the contact. Okay.
Station contact version. Yep. That was when that's when I was like, okay, yeah. I would have guys call me, and they didn't even know it was mine. I remember they would call and be like, man, did you get, bro? You got to get this plug-in. I was like, what plug-in? He's like, it's called MK Sensation, bro. It sounds just like the original. I said, yeah, that's mine, bro. Look at the logo on it. He's like, what? I was like, yeah. So yeah, that's when I knew I had it, and then we moved to UVI.
Yep. I remember that.
That was a good move. I really appreciate them. They gave me a chance to, cause they ain't really bringing nobody on like that. They
Mm-hmm.
gotta really feel you. They're real into,
Yep.
like, they're family type of people.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
UVI, as big as they are, they're like family
Yeah.
guys. Like if they don't like your vibe, they don't care if
Yeah.
they don't care about your money.
They don't
Like
mess with
they gotta really like you as a person and like what you do and believe what you do
you.
before
Yeah.
they bring you on. So I really appreciated them. And then we moved into our own
Yeah.
plugins, which allowed all of the options and our own streaming and then iOS. And
Yeah.
so that was just like, man, I mean, that's just, yeah,
It's
it
just
changed.
dope stuff. I mean, it's good to get context. That's why I know we dug deep into it because we see you here, you know what I mean, and didn't know when you were down there, and the stairs you had to step up to get to where you are. It's always a process getting there. It's always and just listening to all of the pieces of your story just inspires me and helps encourage me and strengthens me into going in.